Hey, what's going on? Tales from the Green Room, episode number 35. I am Howie Spangler. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you so much to my supporters of the podcast. It's been really cool. I get this little email, and it's like, Tales from the Green Room podcast has a new supporter. And it's just, I don't know, man. It's really nice. That's all I can really say about it. Thank you so much to everybody that's, listens to the show and comes to see my band play and buys our records and just helps support my art. So rad. If you'd like to find out how to do it, go to talesfromthegreenroom.com. You can hit the little support the podcast button, and you can pick a tier. It's 99 cents or $4.99 or $9.99 a month. You can cancel anytime. No hard feelings. We all got to eat, right? So last week I put up the episode 34, and I asked people what they'd like me to talk about. I was kind of running out of ideas because I think, what I think to myself is like, do people really want to hear me talk about this shit? So I figured maybe I'll just put up a question like, hey, what should I talk about? Just to kind of get, see if there's any interest out there. And I got a few suggestions, and one of them, my buddy Colin Shores. Thanks, man, for this one. This one's for you. He said, you should talk about the 2000's. Bands you played with, like mistakes that were made, shit that went down, right? And I thought that was a great idea. I was like, I haven't really thought about that time in my life in a while, like extensively anyway. So this is the opportunity, and it's a pretty long one. I talked for I think like 75 or 80 minutes or something like that. Just trying to cover everything I could think of from 2000 to 2010. And a lot of interesting stuff went down in those years for sure. From shitty relationships to crushing, devastating disappointments from major record labels that were interested in the band but then suddenly weren't interested in the band, to the van catching on fire, to finding out I was going to be a dad. Like, crazy time in my life. And so now you're going to hear about it. Hope you're ready. Want to give a shout out to Customized Grinder out there in California. Shane and his wife, they take care of lots of things for the band. They made these sick flags, the Maryland flag that we got printed with the Ballyhoo logo and the Earl on them. It looks so dope. It's hanging up in my studio right now. They do the grinders, they do the glass blunts, they printed posters. They were a big supporter on our summer tour, the Good Vibrations tour. Just good people that get things done. If you need something done for your event or your band or whatever, flyers, posters, flags, grinders, custom guitar picks. They printed the giant banner of the new record, the art, the 20 by 20. The thing is huge, dude. Fucking huge. And they printed it, and it looks great. The quality is amazing, and the turnaround was insane. It was like a week. They're just good people that care. So hit up Customized Grinder if you need anything like that. They're also on Instagram and all that. Oh yeah, dude. So I just saw that Tales is number 6 at Anchor for a music podcast. Thank you very much for that, everybody that's listening. I would like to see this go up on the iTunes charts, like at Apple. Like most of you, I think, listen on Spotify and iTunes, the Apple Podcasts. So I would love to see if you could do me a favor and just like and review, rate and review and subscribe if you haven't already. That'd be rad. Like, it just helps like get up in the categories there on the charts for discovery and things like that. Yeah, that'd be rad. I'd love to see this thing get in like the top 50 or something at Apple. Been doing some vlogging lately. Not as much as I'd like. It's actually a lot of work doing that. I don't know how these guys do this every day. Get these vloggers that put shit up every day. I guess when it's your primary thing, when you're like a YouTuber, content creator, it's what you do. So I guess they didn't afford to do that stuff all day, every day. So every couple of days I try to put up something, and just kind of what went down that day. Go to my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Howi Spangler. Subscribe, like, hit the bell, so you get the notifications when I put something up. Just, I don't know, maybe some interesting stuff there for you. Check it out when you get a chance. I just love creating shit, so video. I love working with video. I love editing, and it's just fun for me. That's my daughter playing in the background. Sorry about the noise. I want to apologize for the quality on episodes 32 and 33. We were on tour, and there's really no quiet place, and you hear the van rumbling, and my mobile mics suck, so I'm hoping that I can eventually upgrade to getting some nice Shure SM7Bs or something like that for everybody when we do that kind of stuff, when I'm on location, so I apologize for that quality, but hope you got some good information about the record, those guys. All right, I'm not gonna waste any more of your time. Enjoy. This is me and my experience in the 2000s. The 2000s, the aughts, if you're a hipster, the aughts. What a difference a decade makes. How you can be a completely different person. I know I am. 2000s were a weird time for the band, especially the early 2000s. Weird time for me personally. Somebody in their early 20s. I don't think you've quite figured yourself out yet in your 20s, or maybe it was just me. I don't want to. Maybe you did. If you're listening, maybe you're like, oh, fuck this guy. I knew who I was. But I feel like I was not all together. I think being a 20-year-old, just a weird time. You think you know who you are, but then you hit 30 and you're like a completely different person. I just found out I'm a Zennial. If you're born between 78 and 83, you're a Zennial. It's like this micro generation, because you remember life before the internet, and you have life in the current state of things. So it's like, I guess you understand both. You know how to do technology, you know how to use technology, but you also remember when there was no internet and cell phones and things like that. So yeah, I'm a Zennial. If you're born between 78 and 83, look it up. It starts with an X. It's X and then Ennial, Zennial. I assume it's Zennial. It would be stupid if it was Xennial, right? Yeah, it was really weird. It was like the band was about 5 years old when Y2K happened. Nearly 5 years old. We started in 95 in the summer. And we had done, in the late 90s, we had played some shows, not a ton. Played our first club show in 98. I was like 17, and I remember they gave us a case of Coors Light. Clearly, we weren't old enough, but they gave us beer. But it was wasted on me. I didn't drink back then. I was like just kind of weirded out by drinking. My dad was kind of an alcoholic growing up. He's a great guy, but he would get drunk a lot and just like say and do dumb shit. And, you know what I mean? Just embarrass me in front of my friends, like shit like that, Oh, man. I used to give him shit about it in the later years before he passed. Insane. But But that kind of stuff like weirded me out about drinking, I guess, as a kid. I remember we recorded our first. This band has actually one more album that most people don't know about. We recorded in February '98. It was the first time we ever went to a studio, and we it was really exciting. And we finally laid down, I think it was 16 songs, and did it in like 36 hours. Mixed it and everything, and it turned out, it was pretty good. I mean, you really shouldn't do that because, we were really tight and rehearsed and everything for what it was. But looking back, I wish we would have taken some more time with it. But anyway, we never released it. And I know some people have it, but I don't know. It was just a good time in our lives, and actually brought back one of the old songs, Selling Out. It was called Selling Out for the Beef back then. I don't know why I called it that, but it's called Selling Out. It's on our new record now, which I thought was cool. We revived a song from over 20 years ago. And the night that we came home from that, my dad was wasted, and he was just really stoked, and he was filled with love. I could see he was just so proud and pumped on what we had done. And he paid for the session. I think it was only like $400, and he was just really happy. And he wanted to take a shot with us. It was a shot of whiskey, I think. And I was all weird about it. I was like, "No, I'm not doing that. That's fucking weird." Donald did it. My brother, he was all about it. I think he was already starting to get into weed and and drinking 40s and shit sometimes at that point. But so we'd had some experience in the studio, and we were playing some shows, and I guess around 99 things were picking up a little bit. We were writing what I thought were good enough songs, so I came up with some money, and we recorded our first official album in April of 2000, and that would become 365, a 365-day weekend. I remember I was so stoked on that title. I thought it was so clever back then. 365-day weekend. I was like, what if you could just take a year off and not do anything, school, work, and everything was fine. And that was kind of the vibe of it, was just about fun. And the songs front to back on that record didn't exactly make sense, I guess, as far as like in an album context. Like, it was just songs, just random songs, more of like a collection, I guess. There was like, the styles were all over the place. We were like playing like pop punk and with some reggae and some funk. Our bass player at the time was really into like slap bass and coming up with this weird shit like Primus, and we were just writing cool songs, and there wasn't a whole lot of thought or planning behind it. It was just, okay, well, here's the songs, and went in and did it, and I'm real proud of it. It turned out really good. We did it in 2 days in April of 2000. Cost like $700. Went back to, it was a place called Cloud 9. Cloud 9 Recordings. And that's where we did the 1998 album. And so it was cool to see the engineer again. And I don't know, I felt more, I was definitely, it was still, it's always exciting being in the studio, but I just felt more experienced, and I knew how to record, and I knew what I wanted. I was very focused and driven back then when it came to the music. I knew the sounds I was looking for, and I had no idea how to do any of it, how to make the sounds. I just knew how to describe them from my head, and hopefully the engineer would figure it out. So we made that record, and it came out in October of 2000. And we had the record release party here in Aberdeen one day. I think it was October 19th, 2000. And I don't know, we played like an hour and a half, probably. And we were stoked to play the new songs. You know, it was just fun. It felt fresh. Like thinking back on those songs, man. Just trying to put myself back in that moment. Just, you know, playing those songs for the first time. And we didn't have a huge crowd. It was okay, but the venue was huge. It was called Hyperlight, and it was in Aberdeen. And I think maybe where they went wrong was the location. Like the place was great. It was huge. It was definitely ideal for what they had in mind. It was like this big place where you could go, and had like pool tables and these really cool pool tables. They called it skilliards, and it was like weird, oddly shaped pool tables. It was almost like putt-putt, but for pool. So you'd have to try bank shots and things to try to get things around corners, and like it was really, really weird, but very cool. And they had like arcade games, I think, and it was just like a spot that was supposed to be for kids, which I thought was awesome because you didn't really have that, and you still don't really have that, I think, in Aberdeen. A lot of kids go to the library and stuff, but this was like a cool spot. It was supposed to be like a teen town kind of thing. My mom and her friends went to a place called Teen Town around here when they were in high school, middle school, high school. And my mom was like Miss Teen Town and stuff one year. It's just silly. So anyway, the show went well, you know, for what it was, and it just really kicked things off for us. And I remember being so proud. I went and got $1,000 loan from my bank, my credit union at the time, and couldn't believe I got the money and made this record. And I drew the art on the cover art, just the three of us. We actually, that's around the time Scott started playing with the band. It was I remember 1999, we played with some punk bands at our high school, and we were like, we need something cool and something like different and eye-popping and like a secret weapon kind of thing. And JR, who was a bass player years later for us, he was spinning records at around that time as like a hobby. And I think he was doing some gigs too. But anyway, so we had him show up, and we did a little thing with him, like this kind of breakdown part in the set, and where the band would kind of jam along, kind of like, you know, what you'd see like Travis Barker doing with, you know, DJ AM back in the day, like playing along to just making a show out of it. And all the kids in the place went fucking nuts when we did it. And it was like this cool new thing. Everybody's really excited that we did it. So I thought when we did that record, 365, that it might be cool to have some scratches and some cuts and things. And Scott was one of the local guys here in the scene. JR had kind of dropped it by that point. So we got Scott, one of his buddies, to come and scratch it up a little bit. And then, I don't know, it felt like it added to the song. So we had kind of like a hip hop feel in some of the stuff on that record. So I thought it worked out really nicely. And, so 2001 happens. There was this station called HFS in DC, and it was like the big station, man, the big alternative station. They played fucking everybody, and they put on this festival, this big show every year at RFK Stadium in DC, and every local band wanted to play that show. So much exposure and just a really great, fun time. And so we had built enough noise to where they, HFS actually contacted us, and they said, "Hey, you're in the big break." I was like, "What?" And the big break was where they take a few bands, local bands, and they let them compete at radio station events and see if they'll open the main stage. Well, back then it was the local stage. They changed it to main stage a couple years later. But so here we go. It's 2001 spring. We go play this show, and I believe we made it. We didn't make it to the finals. But the show that we played was with 2 other bands, I think, and one of them was a band called Cactus Patch, who later became Army of Me, if anybody remembers them. Good band, like really alternative kind of sound. Anyway, they brought like a bus of like 50 people, and we just brought like as many friends as we could in cars. So we had significantly less, but we put on a good show. And I remember Benji from Good Charlotte was there, because those guys are, local Maryland boys. And he was there because he knew the Cactus Patch guys. And I always thought that maybe that was part of it. Like maybe like Benji was an influence. Like I don't think Benji was like, yeah, you should let them win. But I think it was just like cool that they were friends, Maybe the radio station thought that was cool. That's just my conspiracy theory part. I've met those guys, both Joel and Benji, and they were like super nice when I met them a couple times. I think it was on Warped Tour. But we played the show, man. We rocked it. It was so fun. We did it. It was on Kent Island. I can't remember the name of the bar, but it was right there on the water at this little bar. We killed it, man. Fucking crushed. We were putting on a pretty fun live show back then. Just energy. We weren't doing anything extravagant. Like we weren't in costumes, or there wasn't pyro or anything like that, or crazy lighting. But we just were energetic. And I remember when they were announcing the winner, we were just like waiting for the verdict, and we're standing there and they're like, all right, it was really close. And the crowd was like, yeah. And he was like, it was really, really, really close. And I fucking knew what was about to happen. Like it was going to be between us and Cactus Patch. The other band that played with us, they just didn't, I don't know. I just knew we were like better than them. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know that sounds shitty, but I just knew that like, it's just between us and Cactus Patch, and they were a good band, but they had a lot of people, and I was just like, they're probably gonna win because, crowd or whatever. But so it was really, really close. All right, here's give it up for Cactus Patch. It was like, fuck. Oh man, we were bummed out. Because it was like a huge opportunity, But it was cool to play the thing to begin with, and we got on HFS's radar, and that was really more important in the end. So I made it to the finals. I went and checked out the finals at Record Theater that year. Was it that year? Yeah. I made it to the finals, and I met up with Bob Wah, who was the music director or program director. It was one of the two at HFS, and shook his hand. Hey man, thanks for having us. At the show the other night. We had a lot of fun. And he's like, yeah, man. He shook my hand, and he's like, so I guess I'll see you guys at RFK Stadium in May. And I was like shaking his hand. I just stared at him. I was like, what? Yeah, you're gonna do the local stage, right? And we were like, what? We were tripping, man. I just gave him a hug. I was like, dude, thank you so much. Oh my god, this is so awesome. So they let us open the local stage. That's what it was. That's what it was. I think the band that wins gets to open the main stage, and they let us open the local stage, and that was huge for us. We were insanely excited. I couldn't believe it. I was like, we're going to play HF Festival. Holy shit. We're going to open up the whole thing. So, May 27th, 2001, it was a Sunday. It's Memorial Day weekend. And 10:20 in the morning, dude, we opened up the local stage at HF Festival. And it was the first day that they did 2 days, or the first year that they did 2 days. It was 27th to 28th, Sunday, Monday. And I mean, the festival had gotten so huge at this point, and they did 2 days, and they had everybody. I mean, that festival that year, it was Green Day, Incubus, Linkin Park, Stained, Puddle of Mud, like all the bands of that time, the 99, 2000, 2001 era. Just a big, huge bill, man. And I just couldn't believe it. And so we were in the program. I still have the program somewhere. It's like we're in that shit. Like it was so cool. And I think Weezer played that year. Like it was just so rad. And we had a great crowd. It was a huge exposure for us. And 2001 was just an awesome year for us. That really kicked it off. We had a record that was doing pretty well, I guess, and it was at least getting us some exposure. We were getting on people's radar. And so later that year, we got another call from HFS, and it was called the 5 O'Clock Shadow. And that was when Afro Man had her first hit with Because I Got High. And so we got to open for him. And he had a band. It was just a 3-piece. He was playing guitar. He was crushing, man. And so we did that at a place called Bohager's, which has now been closed for years. But it was like the spot back in the day. Played at Bohager's, did this big show. I mean, I came right from work. I was wearing like shitty clothes, did the set. And it was just everything. We were just on fire. I just felt things building. Got a call from 98 Rock, I think it was, to do, it was either 98 Rock or maybe it was HFS again, to do the Fells Point Festival. I can't remember which station was doing it back then, but did that. I mean, we were just getting get picked up for all these different things, these high profile shows in the area. And it was just like, I felt like we were just on our way. And then, oh man. So I worked a day job. I was working at Saks Fifth Avenue in Aberdeen. It's like a warehouse that distributes nice clothes. And I had this whole thing set up. We were going to go do a TV show called Megahertz with Alan Scott. And Alan Scott used to be a personality at HFS. And he also ran this TV show. So I got the invite. Hey man, bring Ballyhoo in to do Megahertz. And I was like, fuck, this is awesome. And it was just more exposure, it was more something else for the band. And like I said, it was just 2001 and we were just on fire, dude. And so the day we were supposed to do it, I'm like, all right, I called Donald, I called the bass player, all right, so tonight we're going to meet up. I get off work at 4. We're going to go meet up at, whatever, and go down there and try to be there by, 5:30 or 6, whatever it was. And bass player's like, I can't do it, dude. It's like, what? I got to work. Like, what are you talking about, man? What are you talking, dude? It's been on the books, for a month or two, or whatever it was. And it was hard to get shows back then. Like, I was just trying to book wherever I could, we'd have an agent. And I knew that we were on fire, and this was a huge opportunity, and we were about to blow it. So I had to call Alan Scott, and I had to tell him, hey man, our bass player can't make it, but I will still come down, and I would love to play some songs on the acoustic guitar. He's like, ah, man. And like, I bummed him out because I guess the workers were a union and they've all been hired. And so basically they're just throwing money out the window, for this crew that's just going to be standing around, or they're going to get paid anyway. And he was really bummed out about that. And I knew I fucked up. I knew it, and sure enough, we stopped getting calls, and it was just, oh man, it was devastating. Just felt like we shot ourselves in the foot, you know. And I let it happen. I should have done something. Maybe I don't know what I could have done. You know, find a bass player in an hour or two, you know. But it's hindsight, right? So that was really a bummer. And go figure, 2002, 2003 were just nothing. Nothing was happening. I was in this awful, toxic relationship and just, I don't know, just felt like everything was just going wrong. And I easily could have just sank into like a weird depression and just ended up working at the warehouse forever, you know? But luckily I don't know, I've just always had this drive to want to be more, you know, for myself. And after 4 years of being with this girl, and you all have heard some songs by now, but I just finally, I had to end it. I was done. It was like the worst. I was always like a happy type of person, in spite of, you know, weird things that had happened to me. I lose my mom at a young age, things like that. And the kind of the struggle of keeping a band together and not having a real direction and things like that. And I just knew that she had to go. I was like, we gotta, and so like, I got this, we were living in this townhome in Havity Grace, the town I live in now, actually. And it was in this weird part of town. It was like, wasn't quite Section 8, but it was like just, it was for low income families, which, you know, I was definitely low income. And I was the only one making the money, working 3 jobs and shit. It was terrible. But like, I got this message in the mail. It was like, hey, so they're going to tear this place down. Like the whole development, they were going to come bulldoze it in like a month. So I was just like, holy shit. Wow. Okay. But I saw it as an opportunity to get out. I was like, huh, okay, well, I have to leave. And this is my out. I'm going to tell this girl that it's over and I'm moving in with my grandmother and she's going to have to figure it out. She has a lot of family, you know, around the country. And it sounds awful. It sounds like, you know, maybe you might be thinking like, oh my God, this guy just like kicked her out. Like, just trust me when I say it was time and it was bad. It was unhealthy and we had to get away from each other. And we were so young, you know, 20, 21, 22. And I think I was 21 when we finally separated. And, man, it was just, I was becoming someone that I didn't like. I was getting angry all the time and I hated everything and I didn't want to be that way. And I knew it was because of this relationship. And she took the dog, which sucked. But in the end, it was better because I just was in no place to take care of an animal. And so I was bummed out about that for a couple months. But so she left. And I moved in with my grandmother. And instantly, man, 2 days later, I had a cell phone. It was a color screen. It was pretty cool. It had buttons and a color screen. It was really nice. And I had a car. And I don't know, but life was instantly flipping around. Like I knew I'd made this change and life was just going to be that much better. So that was the end of 2002. And that entire year, it was just, I mean, we played some shows, but dude, I swear we maybe played 5 or 6 shows the entire year. Like there was nothing happening with this band and I didn't know what was going on. Um, 2003 comes, playing a little bit more, and get a call from HFS again. 2003. Gonna play the HF Festival acoustic tent. Like, okay, sweet. Things are kind of getting back to normal, I guess, as far as the band was concerned. I tried out for Limp Bizkit. Oh man, that was 2002. Yeah. Oh my god, that's how bad it was, everybody. I tried out for Limp Bizkit. Went to Guitar Center down in like Rockville, and yeah, I waited in line and I tried out for Limp Bizkit on the guitar. Oh my god, I love Limp Bizkit. Look, okay, special place in my heart for Limp Bizkit, man. No shit, I love that band. I'm not a fan of like anything after. They had a couple good songs on The Unquestionable Truth, pretty heavy shit, but everything after that kind of gets a little corny for me. I'm just like, but I'm always gonna love like those first 3 records. Call it what you want, but so yeah, that's how crazy shit got. I tried out for Limp Bizkit in 2002. Did not make it. So 2003, do the HFS acoustic tent. It was kind of a weird situation. It wasn't the same. It wasn't like playing the local stage. It was hot. I wore jeans. I don't know why. It was stupid. So we 2003, we started playing at the end of 2003. We started playing this bar in Perryville called the Rendezvous, and it was a place that we learned. We started learning how to be a live band. I started drinking. I was like crushing Coronas every Thursday now, and it was like the start of something really great. We knew once we got a few weeks in, we knew we had something. We were building something every Thursday night. This place had a built-in crowd, and because of us on a Thursday night, we were pulling people in. We had like pretty girls around us, like hanging out, buying us drinks, and yeah, everybody wanted to hang out with us, and it was just I don't know, it was just a wild night every Thursday, and we started learning how to become a live band, like how to work a crowd, how to talk to a crowd, and being a bar band is definitely not like the end goal. I don't want to be a fucking bar band, but we started out, man. It was the way to go. We weren't playing shows all the time in Baltimore. And every now and then we get a show at like Fletcher's or something, which was like the spot, the rock bar down in Baltimore. And but this place was how we could really hone the craft and really work it out. So I was writing songs all the time, and now I had a way to get with the band and just we would literally work out new songs on stage in front of people, and I would just make up lyrics. Like I would have some lyrics, but then I would make up what I didn't have, and nobody really knew the difference. You know, they were just there to get fucked up and dance and try to take someone home, you know? And people come here to dance erotically, and they need a clean floor to do it on. So we would do that, and it just, by 2004, we were fully in motion with this thing. And we started working on our second record, finally. And played HF Festival again in 2004. Did the local stage. Crushed it once again. Started recording Do It for the Money. And the songs were just so, I don't know, they were so much. Like Cali Girl was one of the new songs at that time, 2004. And I just felt like we tapped into something. We were mixing reggae and rock before it was called reggae rock, at least on a popularity level. Like people didn't know what to call it, you know what I mean? And it was this new flavor, this new sound that we had found. We'd been playing reggae since like a year after the band started. It was like 96 is when I kind of started mixing ska and reggae into the punk stuff, but really found a way to blend it and make it sound good around 2004, I guess. And Cali Girl, I remember 2005, I think I wrote Cerveza. Just all these songs started coming together, and I was like, man, really proud. I was like, man, these are fucking cool. Like I feel like we've leveled up musically. The songwriting has gotten so much better. And started getting play on the Philly station, MMR. Jackson up there was very supportive. Did their big spring break thing. Like it was just a lot of things are starting to happen again. And now, I did forget about this, to mention this earlier in the earlier years before this. 2001, I was approached by DreamWorks Records. This was early 2001, I believe. And this was, like I said, 2001 was a great year for us. And I was tripping. I couldn't believe I got an email from a guy, an A&R guy at DreamWorks Records. And it was like, finally, that's what you wanted. All the bands wanted to be signed to a record label back then. It was a way different time. And so we had some meetings. He came to a few shows, and ultimately it didn't work out. And that was like my first huge bummer, other than losing that megahertz TV show like that year. But that one really hurt, because that's something that we'd worked for at that point it was about 6 years, with all that stuff going on, things happening, it just felt right. And for whatever reason, I couldn't deal with it. I guess a lot of these labels that approached us in the 2000s didn't know what to do with the band. They'd hear a song or two, and they just had no idea what to do with it. And so, yeah, 2005, we're still recording. It took almost 2 years to record this fucking album, because we had no money, no time, things like that. Just kind of getting in where we could. So like roughly in the summer of 05, I think it was spring, summer, I get an email from the A&R person from Wind Up Records. And Wind Up Records, if you don't know, they had Creed and Finger 11 and Evanescence, like big bands at the time. So, and they were an independent label, so they were crushing it. They were obviously bringing in money as an independent label with these huge bands. And I get an email from Diana. She was the top A&R person of 2004, and she's emailing me about our songs and saying how she wants to sign us. And so the feelings come up again. You're like, oh God, it's happening, finally happening. Last time it wasn't right, I'm glad it didn't happen, but it's happening now. Everything's right. Like, this is perfect. Everything wasn't right. We didn't even have a fucking record finished. Like, you got to always try to be prepared these days. I mean, it's just always try to be prepared with music. Have something ready to go, because you never know when someone's going to approach you that could do something great for your career. And we just weren't ready. We had rough mixes of songs that didn't even have all the parts yet, that I'm sending to this huge A&R person in hopes that they'll have an imagination and be able to see what I see in my head, which is fucking impossible, right? Never leave it up to imagination. Always try to serve up a finished product, no matter what you're doing. I always feel like I have to construct this whole thing and show either a detailed roadmap or something that's done, just to get my point across, because I don't trust people to see my vision. I don't trust people to use their imagination and be able to see what it could be. Do you understand that? So here I am sending her these unfinished songs that aren't mixed, and they don't sound great. And these are songs that ended up on Do It For The Money, but we just weren't, like, they weren't there. And her husband was the head of the label, and he said no. And again, fucking bum out, dude. Like, I was so upset about this. Like, we talked for a couple months, I think, over email, and then she would call me. She's like, call me anytime. You know, she had this thick, like, New York accent, but mixed with like Latino. Like, I don't know how to explain it, but like really thick, crazy accent. She was a character, but she was really nice, but she just couldn't get her husband on board. And man, it was like the second big blow of that era. And we'd been a band for 10 years at that point, which is crazy to think about. So, okay, just going to finish this record, you know. So January 2006, we released Do It For The Money. And we had this huge record release party at the Rendezvous, that bar I mentioned earlier that we were playing every Thursday. Oversold the place. I mean, it was amazing. It was an insane night. We had Matt Davis, great guy, a DJ from 98 Rock, come out and host it. And it just felt like things were moving in the right direction. A few months later, April 2006, went on our first real tour. 6 weeks across the country with bands Rude Buddha, 33 West. It was everything that we'd wanted. We wanted to be on tour. We wanted to have music. You know, wanted people singing our songs. And couldn't believe it, man. People were singing along, and this record put us on the map. Do It For The Money is our second record, and it took, you know, almost 6 years to put out a second record. But it was different this time. The songs were connecting, and everything just felt right. And we were just out there crushing it on the road. We were getting fucked up. I mean, it was nuts, man. We were like the van caught on fire. We were down south somewhere on the 10 or something like that, through Louisiana, I think it was. Or maybe it was Mississippi, because we still had like a 2-hour drive after that. So like, I blew the transmission earlier that day. I wasn't a very good driver with a van and trailer back then. I was always trying to floor it. And you're not supposed to floor it in a van and trailer because you could really mess things up, which I did. So earlier that day, I blew the transmission. There's fluid spraying all over the trailer. You know, I'm going like 80 miles an hour. Don't ever do that. And so later that night, we're all trying to sleep in the back, and JR is driving, and all of a sudden it just swerves, and he's like, everybody get the fuck out of the van. Like, so everybody wakes up. I'm just wearing shorts. I'm not wearing shoes, not wearing a shirt. Jumped out, landed on the ground. There was like a thorn bush or something. Stepped on that as soon as, like, full force, jumped out of the van, landed on top of it. Fuck, what the hell? Look over, there's flames shooting out from underneath, from the undercarriage. There's fucking flames coming out from under the van. The transmission fluid was all over the exhaust, and it got super hot and caught fire. So I jump over the guardrail to get away from the van, and I sliced the top of my foot open. I still have the scar. Blood squirts all over Scott's shorts, right? And I'm like, fuck. And JR's at the front of the van trying to figure out the fire extinguisher. Always have a fire extinguisher in the vehicle with you. Bands. And know how to use it. And he's fumbling with it. And I'm like, hey, what can I do to help? He fucking right that second hits the nozzle, got it working, sprayed me right in the fucking face. So like 100 miles an hour, white powder comes flying at my face. And I just like, my head goes back, I grab my face, I'm like, ah! Fuck! Like, oh man. I was like, I'm out. Fuck this, I'm out. I quit. And so, yeah, and then we had to get towed. And that's how that night went. That was fucking terrible. Somehow got the van fixed the next day and got back on the road. And we lost so much money, man. I don't even know how we did it. I mean, Scott had a good job leading up to that point. He left like a job making a lot of money, being a chemist, to come on the road. And I know that like his money like probably kept the band afloat on that tour. So that was great. Much applause to him for that. So yeah, 2006 was a wild time. And that was just the first half. So later, I think in the summer, we were on another tour out to California. And that was the first time in California. I still have the footage of us somewhere crossing into California on the northern side. Because our first show ever was in Sacramento in California. And so we were crossing over the northern side. And we were just so stoked. We couldn't believe we made it to California. It was a huge milestone for us. And we were all so excited about it. And so sometime on that tour, we made it to a place called Paris, California, which is like in the desert. It's like the hills have eyes type of shit. Like there's nothing around. And recorded in a studio. We actually recorded for it was a Sense Boardware, which Mike, who now runs the Pier, it was his thing, and he was putting out compilations. And so we did 2 songs for it at a studio there. The Friend Zone and Close to Me, which ended up being on Cheers. So we did those songs, and I somehow got Chad Sexton from 311 to mix the Friend Zone. We put it out on this compilation. And it was a friend of mine who used to play in a band called The Rivalry, who was actually on some of those dates that I mentioned earlier that year with Rude Buddha and 33 West, our first tour. And he was in touch with the 311 guys because they had recorded at the Hive before. So that's how that connection was made. And he sent me Chad's information, and I got a hold of him, and he mixed the song. And I couldn't believe that I was talking to Chad Sexton for 311. They're one of my favorite bands, and it was just another exciting time. And he made it sound great. It was like the best we'd ever sounded at that point. So that connection comes up a little bit later as well, which is great. But we'll get to that. So in 2007, I get a MySpace message from Scotch Ralston, who is 311's sound engineer and producer from their old stuff, and now he's back doing their new stuff. But I get this random message. I'm like, holy shit, dude, seriously? And it's just a few sentences, and it's like, let's make a record. I'm like, what? What's going on here, right? So we started recording what would become Cheers in the summer of 2007. And it was like some of the most fun recording I've ever had. We went and did drums and bass and a lot of the guitars at Right Way Studios in Baltimore. Steve Wright was a really nice guy and had us in. And I think we did like 5 or 6 days down there with that. And the rest of it was in Scotch's Winnebago, like his RV. Like we went and did like guerrilla recording stuff. Like I remember I recorded the guitar solo for The Struggle in my grandmother's kitchen. And I was supposed to go to work that day. And I didn't know I was on the schedule. And they called me and they're like, hey, yeah, you're supposed to be here, fuckface. And I'm just like, oh shit. Oh God, I'm so sorry. I'm in the middle of recording right now. Like I'm recording right now. Like, and they were just like, all right, whatever. And I'm sure I got like in trouble and lost some shifts or something for it, but I wasn't going to leave, this session. And, so yeah, there was that. And then, recorded in Danielle's out in front of her parents' house. One day we went to the steel drums, were recorded in a Target parking lot, in the Target parking lot in Abingdon, not far from where I live. This guy Joe came and did that in the RV. I remember playing guitar for like 9 hours on different songs at Susquehanna State Park in the middle of nowhere, and you'd be surprised at the noises you'd hear. Like you think you're okay, let's go where nobody's around, you're not gonna hear shit. You're still hearing like trains and like airplanes. You just can't get away from it. It was wild. And I believe that's where I shot the famous pic of me holding 2 311 like gold and platinum plaques and singing into the microphone, like as if they were giving me the power to sing and write great songs. So stupid. So later that summer we played a show in Baltimore and ended up having 2 311 sound men run our sound, which was funny because Scotch came up to he was in town for recording, and he just came to the show, and him and this guy Jamie, who was running sound for 311 at the time when Scotch wasn't, they worked together and they mixed the band that night. I just thought that was so cool, like 2 311 sound men running Ballyhoo sound. It was the same day that everyone had gotten iPhones. It was when the iPhone came out, the first one, 2007, and everybody was talking about it, and they waited in line, paid like $600, and man, what a time. Isn't that crazy? Like we didn't have iPhones before 2007. The next big thing that I can remember that came up in the 2000s was March 2008. We get the call to the same weekend. I get a call from Slightly Stupid's management and 311's management. And I'm just mind blown, right? Because I'm like, damn, these are like 2 bands that I respect, and they want us to come open shows. It's fucking wild. So March 15 and 16, we go to Rolla, Missouri. 2008, we go to Rolla, Missouri, and we open for 311 for the first time. And I was goddamn nervous, dude. I was tripping. We didn't have a sound check. Like, everything was running behind. And Story of the Year played that night as well. So we're trying to load in front of them while they're getting their stuff set up. And there were 2 fucking drum risers stacked. So we were like right up against the front of the stage in like a line. We weren't even set up like a traditional setup, It was like Scott on keys, turntables, and then bass player, and then me, and then Donald on the right. I think that's how it went, on drums. And we were just all squished up against the front. Had 0 sound check, not even a line check. And time comes, it's like, all right, let's go, let's do it. Went up there, started playing, dude, and the goddamn kick drum was so fucking loud in the monitors. It hurt my ears. I thought it perforated an eardrum. And I think we played great from what it was. We sounded awful out front because there was just no sound check or anything. Um, but the crowd really seemed to dig it, and they were like really drunk and hungover and shit from tired from drinking all day, because it was like St. Pat's weekend, and apparently in Rolla, Missouri, like they love St. Patty's Day, so they do this whole big day like parade and all kinds of shit. That night we're packing up, and I get a text. It's from Chad Sexton. He's like, "Hey man, what are you guys doing?" I was like, "Oh, we're just packing up, whatever, about to take off." He's like, "Come hang out on the bus." We're like, "What?" So tour buses were like this mythical thing, back then, and just magical places. And so walk up there, and he pokes out, and he's like, "Hey man, what's up?" I'm like, "How's the record doing?" I'm like, "Dude, what's up?" It was rad. So we hung out with Nick and Tim and Chad for like 2 hours on the bus, man, just listening to music. And I told Nick the story about how Scott's tried to give me I think it was the platinum plaque for Transistor. He's like, "I'm gonna kill him." Oh man, just a fun night, man. It was like hanging out with these dudes that like just really look up to, and that was awesome. So the next night we go to Columbus, Ohio, played at Lifestyles Community Pavilion with 311 again, and again crowd went crazy. The footage is on YouTube somewhere. It was like 3,000 people, and we just went out and did what we did, and I don't know, it was just we really connected with that whole 311 nation, man. It was ever since then it's just been all love from that community, and I couldn't be happier to be associated with people like that. So many good people in that fan base, and we get a lot of crossover into the Ballyhooligans. Just mostly positive people that just love music and just want to live their life, and a lot of people helping others. And I don't know, it's just a good situation to be in. Hung out for a little bit that night before we said goodbye, and it was just a great couple days with one of my favorite bands. It was amazing. So then the next night, we opened for Slightly Stupid in Allentown, PA, at a place called Crocodile Rock. And I fucking hate that place. And I heard it closed down, and fucking good for them. Good. So here's what happened. We get there for load-in, and we're bringing our stuff in, and like the bouncers and shit and all the staff were like fighting with each other. Like you could see them, like it was the weirdest, like tense kind of situation. Like everyone was like mad at each other and shit. It was the weirdest thing. And still really haven't experienced that vibe in any other venue. I've played, I don't know how many places. I've played like over 2,000 shows in my life, right? And that was the one spot where I'm just, man, fuck this place. You know what I'm saying? There's something wrong. And these guys were just like big meathead dudes that, man, I remember during the show, they were choking kids out, throwing them out like left and right, man. And it was just not a good scene. And I'm surprised that place stayed open as long as it did. But so so Stupid's like, all right, you guys are going to play an hour. We're like, all right. I knew I didn't want to play an hour because they're there to see Slightly Stupid. They're not there to see us. We're the opening band, right? And I'd done enough shows at that point where I just knew. And sure enough, it went down just like I thought. So about 40 minutes into the set, between songs, it's just the crowd's like, slightly stupid. And we just looked at each other like, fuck, there it is. We just knew, And I think like we were playing like heavy shit, like more of a punk stuff, and it just wasn't the right vibe. And those kids let us know. So we finished the set. We did the last 20 minutes or whatever. And we're getting off stage, and they start, the staff starts taking our shit, ripping out of the wall, and just fucking taking it. Like, and like the way my guitar rig was set up back then, I didn't have like cases and stuff, or at least stuff in cases on the stage. I had a box that you put the guitar head in, and you know, close up the case that way. But it was like stacked on top of the case, on top of the cab, and they're trying to carry. I was like, "Yo, give me like 2 seconds. I'll just unplug. I'm gonna unplug this shit, and then we'll just let me take the top piece off. Basically, I just want to get the head off of there." And they're like, "No, we gotta get this shit off here. Blah, blah, blah. I do this shit every night." I'm like, "Dude, okay, man. I just don't want you to drop my stuff, you know." And so they're carrying it downstairs. It's wobbling, and they didn't drop anything, but it was just like, dude, just let me get the head off of there. It takes 2 seconds. Just take the cable out. Just let me carry it separately. That's all I want to do. But they were just worried about getting everything off stage and all that stuff. So that was weird. And then, so a little bit later, I think Stupid is on stage, or no, they're about to come on. That's what it was. They were about to come on stage. It was between bands. And I'd made my way. The way it was is they put this guardrail system up through the center of the venue to separate the kids from the bar. And it kind of comes to like this sort of a cross point where the bars meet the bar meets the guardrail on the corner. And I get to this sort of bottleneck of people. And I'm like, "Hey, you guys mind if I just jump over?" And it was like people in the crowd. "You mind if I get over there to the merch?" The merch was on the other side. "Oh yeah, no problem." I'm like taking pictures with people, like they thought we were rad. So I grab the guardrail, I jump over the top, and I land on the floor. And I was turned around, came down, and as soon as I plant my feet, I get this yank on the back of my shirt and this really hard tug. A second later, I'm on the floor and my shirt is ripped off my body. Dude is holding my shirt in his hand. And I'm like, I'm like, "Dude, what the fuck is your problem?" Like, stood up. He's like, big dude, man. And he's like, you don't cross the line, blah, blah. I was like, "Dude, I was just on stage 15 minutes ago for an hour. Like, oh, what are you, big Mr. Rockstar now? You gotta," I'm like, "Nah, man, I'm just saying, like, I'm trying to get to my merch table and talk to people." And man, it was like, I couldn't believe it, man. Like, that shit sucked. And it was like, not only did it like hurt physically, I was like hit my elbow and my hip, I think, when I came down pretty hard. But it was like embarrassing, you know? I mean, it's like you're in front of these people, you're just getting tossed around. It was really, yeah. So I just like, and then like right at that moment, they pushed me against the wall because Stupid was walking through to get on the stage, and they didn't know what happened. They didn't see anything. And they went on stage and did their thing. And I just got my shit and I fucking left. It was like the worst experience I've ever had at the venue. So a week later, Cheers comes out. So we had this crazy, interesting weekend, and then Cheers comes out, and man, it is just another step up from where Do It For The Money was. It just put us that much more on the map. Started getting more shows. I mean, people were singing the songs. We had the Friend Zone. We had Somewhere Tropical. Everything, we re-recorded everything because it was a jam, you know. Paper Dolls, Phantoms, Drag, Close to Me. I mean, The Struggle. I mean, this album had so many songs on it, and that are still popular today, like in our top 10, top 20 on Spotify and Apple and all that. Like, just, it's crazy the staying power, the test of time that this record has gone through. It's definitely regarded as like one of our big fan favorite records, and we actually played it front to back in 2013 when the Record Theater in Towson closed over here. And it's, anytime I listen to that record, it just takes me back, man. It was just a good time in our lives. And working with Scotch and having Chad mix it, it was just the whole thing. It was just a fun, just a good time capsule to look back at. So 2008's going well. Cheers is crushing. I had it out on CD Baby back then, and the band was actually starting to make a little money. which was nice. And that was really the first time we'd ever really experienced that. And being able to take money and put it back into the band, for recording or whatever it was, touring, didn't really start going into the pocket until probably it was 09, 10, something like that maybe, to start paying bills. Later 2008, I'd say October, November, December, something like that. Went out with Dirty Heads. They were just this little band in Southern California that was looking to get out and do some stuff. And I think they'd done some light touring before that, but we brought them out to the East Coast, and it was awesome, man. Those guys were really fun to hang out with, and played some shows to almost no one a couple times. And I remember in Dallas, we played at a Profit Bar, and 8 people showed up, but when you're vibing out with the band that you're on tour with, it just makes it that much better and easier. We did some house party because I think our Austin show got canceled. So we ended up hanging out at this girl's apartment, and both bands just jammed. We had some acoustic guitars, and they brought in the hand drums, and we just started jamming on each other's songs, and it was just a fun experience, just a good time, good tour, and it was just different for us as well because those guys were more doing the hip hop thing, but it's somehow they did a little bit of reggae, and it just seemed to mesh well. So it was nice to get to know those guys. And whenever we see them at festivals and stuff, they're real nice, and we say hello, and yeah, it's cool, man. I'm really stoked on their explosion, almost 10 years ago now. So yeah, fast forward April 2009, we're in Mexico with Dirty Heads and B Foundation, and had a crazy night that night. Like, went to some Mexican bar and on a rooftop, and just drank a bunch of beers, and it was just fun, man. Signed with Surf Dog Records. That was what we thought was another milestone. We re-released Cheers a year after it came out. It came out Cinco de Mayo 2009, the re-release. And a lot of you will recognize it from that blue cover with the girl in the front holding a beer, which I thought made no fucking sense. I didn't understand the art. The original art I put on was 2 hands clinging beers together, like cheers, just that made sense to me. And then they changed the art and just made 0 sense. I don't know. They cut 6 songs from the track list, and we added a song called Alcohol Looks Beautiful Tonight because we had recorded it in 2008, and we're like, well, we should probably give some sort of incentive to buy the record since it's coming out again. It's the same album. So we put that on there. And I do like how Close to Me closes the album. I'm pretty sure it closes the album on that version. So I thought that was cool. But I was bummed out because I couldn't keep all the tracks and the art and stuff. But we were stoked that we signed this deal because, you think, all right, well, they're going to be taking a cut, so that means they're going to be working hard and doing things for the band. And it just wasn't that way, man. We ended up giving away half our money for, I think it was like 7 years or 8 years after that. We just got Cheers back. I think it was earlier this year from that, once the contract was up. And we restored all the tracks, the original art. We kept Alcohol Looks Beautiful Tonight on there, so it has 19 tracks now. And re-released it on Right Coast Records, our own label. And it just felt so good. I don't think they're bad people over there at Surf Dog. I was very disappointed with how they handled our record. I felt like we were just paying the bills. And that's something that, it feels almost predatory in a way. It's just easy money for them because we were already doing well. When that record went away from our independent side, from CD Baby, the money was just not what it was, and that was frustrating. I can't even believe our manager at the time let us sign the fucking contract. It was like reasonable efforts. Like it was something about when it came to promoting the band. It literally said, we will use reasonable efforts to promote the band, or something so stupid and general. But you're excited, you think, okay, finally, here's a label that really wants to work with the band. And remind you, I'd already gone through this with 2 other bands. I didn't mention 2007 when J Records came calling. That was another one. So this was 2 years after the wind-up thing. 2007, man, I get approached again. I think it was MySpace. It was a message. And J Records was another huge label. They had, it was like a Clive Davis label. They had Alicia Keys and something so promising. And that's part of what really kept me going all these years was knowing that we were being approached by these top level labels, that there was some potential there. There has to be something here. We just need to find the right person to hear the band, And so again, talked for a few months, came to some shows, and we were ready to set up the showcase for Clive Davis, which was wild. And then it just fizzled out. It didn't happen. They said we needed more history, and it was a fucking bummer, man. It was, I was really hurt, because that was our 3rd time messing with a label, like a real label, and it was just gone, And looking back, I mean, all that stuff, had it happened, I don't even know where this band would be. I don't know if this band would still exist. I don't know, because you're so like, you want to take advice and you want to do things that you think these people know what they're doing, but at the end of the day, you are the artist. And when you leave artistry to the people that aren't artists, they're going to fuck it all up. And that's why I'm so in control of everything that I do. And, I got people telling me that we need to put out another record like Girls. And I love that record, but that's just not what happened this time. I didn't feel that style of music when I was writing. I mean, I just lost my dad, and there was a lot of things that I started thinking about and I wanted to write about. And that type of music, that type of record just wasn't right for the things that I was writing down. And it just wasn't going to happen. I don't force anything. And, so let me be the artist. You be the representation, and you deal with whatever we give you. That's how I look at it. And so I'm glad that stuff didn't go down. Maybe it was for the better. And now we have our own label, and we own all our music, or most of our music. And, there's still people to pay, but it's no near what it would have been had we been signing to labels. I can't stress enough that if you're in a band and you're approached by a label, and I own a label. This is coming from a label owner, okay? If you're approached by a label, especially today when distribution is so easy, it's right there. You can sign into CD Baby or TuneCore or Lander or DistroKid and get your music out there. It's you really got to think about it. Is it worth giving away a piece of what you have, a piece of your music, to a company? Is this company? There's no guarantee that this company is going to work hard for you. They're just not. You just have to trust that they're going to do that. They're going to be good people and really get behind the music. If you can feel that they're really into your band and they would love to see you succeed, and they just talk about your band, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's something to think about. But if you end up in a situation like Surf Dog, like we did, where they weren't even into the music. And I can't remember how I knew that. I just knew that they weren't. They had hit us up before, and it was like, kind of thing. And then they hit us up a few months later. It was like, well, okay, it's like, nah, man, if you're not fucking feeling it, I don't want you touching my shit. Like, do not come near my music, right? I can't stress enough that you please think about it. Weigh the pros and cons. If they really feel like that they can do something for you, they can get you on tour with some bands that can help you expand in the live setting, the touring setting, maybe. If the deal is good and they're not going to be predatory and take most of your money from the record, like the percentage, like you just really get a lawyer and really think about it. And hopefully you have good management that can help you make that decision. But it's so easy today to put out your own music. And my label, I don't want to put out bands that I know I can't help. Like if I don't feel like we can help monetarily, I don't even want to send an offer. In the past, bands have approached me about being on the label, and I've been interested, but we couldn't come to a deal. And it's no harm on either side. It's just like I'm being flat out. Look, this is all we can afford to do. This is all we can give you. Is this worth it to you? And if they say no, then no hard feelings, man. We're not here to hurt. We just want to help people. You know, we're not going to take your money. Labels need to get paid to recover costs and things like that, but it's all about the music and the growth. That's all we want to do. And until we get to a point where I feel like we can send a really good offer out to a band monetarily and, on the tour support side, things like that, that's when I'll start offering record deals again to bands, But for now, it's so easy to get your shit out there. Put some money into ads, just being honest, So 2009, going on tour with the B Foundation, old friends of ours, homies, love them, California. Fucking love that band. Had a lot of fun nights with them. 4 months. We toured for like 4 months that year. Stupid. I couldn't believe it. I get home from that tour, find out I'm going to be a dad. Holy shit. Yeah, somewhere in that 4 months I came home and did stuff with Danielle. And then came home and I was going to be a father. I was playing on my Xbox. I was playing Batman. Arkham Asylum. I was playing the demo because I couldn't afford to buy the game. So I was like playing the first, like they'd let you play like the first like half hour or something. I just played it over and over again. I was living in some house that like the dude let the dog shit all over the floor because he wasn't home all day and smelled awful and just that situation. You know what I mean? Slob. And I get this text, I am pregnant, in all caps, like 11 exclamation marks. And I was just like, okay, alrighty then. So I just took the controller, I sat it down on the bed, and I didn't touch that shit for like 6 years. Shit's crazy, man. Yeah, and that's how my 2000s, the aughts decade ended for me. To go from the year 2000 being in this awful relationship, putting out my first record, trying to get this thing off the ground, to having 3 records out in the 2000s, finding out I'm going to be a dad at the end of it, after everything that went down. Completely different person, man. Completely different person. What a time it was to be alive. And all the things I talked about, like a lot of bummers, man, but honestly, dude, I'm stronger for going through all that shit. And I think we all have to go through that in order to appreciate the good things. And I appreciate what I have. My band is not, I'm not at a point in my career with this band that I want to be at yet. Having said that, I can pay bills. I can do some things sometimes with the family. Like, I'm busy all the time, but like, I enjoy the work that I do. And I think that is the goal, man. The goal was never to work in a warehouse or be some fucking stooge, you know, work in tech support. I could do that shit. I could be tech support like a motherfucker, dude. I love fixing shit for people, like on getting their shit working, their computers, their phones, whatever. I love that shit. But it's not what I want to do for a living, right? I've created something, and what a wild time it's been. And to be meeting all of you, I know a lot of you listeners out there, I've met you at the shows countless times, and the support that we've gotten and I've gotten for this show, it's just, I don't know, man. A lot of hard work went into get all this going, and I just appreciate all of you. I hope you learned a lot from my experience in the aughts. It was actually fun to go down that little road. I haven't really thought about that time in my life a whole lot. Oh, man, especially those early years. Ugh. Well, here's to another crazy decade, which we're almost done with. That's crazy. I'm talking about a decade that was almost 10 years ago. Isn't that? That's wild, dude. This decade's almost over, too. So maybe in a couple of years, I'll talk about everything that's happened in this 10 years. Man, wild. All right, everybody. Have a great day. Man, that was fun. What a look back. I hope you enjoyed it. Yeah, great idea. Thanks again, Colin, for that. I really appreciate it. Again, it's my daughter back there playing with her toys. Sorry for the noise. Yeah, if you have any ideas what you'd like me to talk about, things I should address, hit it up in the comments on Instagram when I make the posts, and let me know what you're thinking, man. Let me know what you'd like to know about this whole crazy business I've been involved in for the last 23 and a half years of my life. I've learned a lot the hard way. So if you're in a band or you're an artist, and you just want to know how things work, if there's any way I can help, or if you're just someone that's just curious about how all this stuff works, please let me know in the comments, and I'll try to address these things in future episodes. Please rate and review the podcast, subscribe, tell your friends. I'm trying to get this thing up in the charts. Number 6 at Anchor already, which is great. Also, if you use the Anchor app to listen, you can actually leave a voicemail for me. You can leave a voicemail for me via the app, and I can actually add it to the show. So we can maybe eventually work in like a cool call-in situation where I answer questions. That'd be kind of cool too. All right, well, talk to you soon. Thank you for listening to Tales from the Green Room, and have a wonderful day.